It's not looking good, guys. Only one thing left to do, I suppose. I've just dropped the breaker bar on my temple, mate. The funny thing is, I did this today because I thought it'd be easy doing coilovers. Good morning, everybody. The 350 is here. I just want to say thanks. One sec. Yeah, that made no difference whatsoever. Good morning, everybody. The 350 is here. I just want to say thank you for everyone with the commentaries. Everyone was saying, you know, how much I'm pushing out the content and stuff. And yeah, I really appreciate everyone's comments of how hard I'm working. And I'm absolutely smashing out the content. But I've got all the cars to do it, and I'm having fun. So yeah, as you guys know, we've got a drift day. Well, it's on the 9th and we're already pressed to get all the modifications done. So what did I do last night? Yeah, I went and bought another modification. So I've had to order another modification to make that modification work. It's going to be close, but we're going to do it. So today I actually need to drive down to Manchester after this, but I need to do this morning. Now I'm doing this one today because this is massively necessary for the drift day, probably even more important than the coilovers. Now one thing that is very important for a drift day is to get a lot or as much angle as you can on the front. Main reason for that is that you get a lot more room for error. If you're on full lock and you hit a little bit of a bump or something, it's going to spin you out if you've got no lock. So the more lock you've got, I mean, the more angle you can get in your car, but I'm not really too bothered about that. I'm not going to be going in full sideways. I just want a bit more room for error because we are going to Santapod and I've heard it's not the smoothest surface. So if I'm on full lock and I hit anything and that's just going to send the rear a bit further, I'm going to spin. So we want more angle so we can turn into the skid a lot more. So today we've actually got some parts from Torqen. So huge thank you, Torqen, for sending me out this. So huge thank you, Torqen. They actually sent me some stickers and a t-shirt as well, which is embroidered. Whoa, pay there, big spenders. But this is a G-Tech steering rack spacer, so it looks a little bit different than the other rack spacers. Let me just open it. So here it comes with 2 spacers. Well, this is pretty much just, that's like a washer, that spacer. Most steering rack spacers actually just come with 2 of them and you put them on each side of the rack, but this one comes with this. So this is like a big unit itself, which is strange, but I'm guessing it's just the way that the steering racks are designed on the 350. So we need to take off each of the tie rods and we need to put this where the tie rod's screwed in and then screw the tie rod back onto here, and on the other side we just need to take the tie rod off, put this on and screw the tie rod back in. But we need to be installing that, and also to get more lock we're going to be getting the angle grinder out again. We love the angle grinder, and we need to be grinding down the steering stops on the arms because that's going to massively limit us to what we can get out of that spacer. So yeah, time is of the essence. Let's get the car jacked up and let's get cracking. Okay, let's shoot under the car. Here is the steering rack and there's the tie rods and that's the trap rod end. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to get access to underneath here. So we need to take off this plastic cover, which I've just put my jack stands on. Okay, so that came off pretty eventless, to be fair, which is great. Now we've got to take the boot off. So the boot on this side, no one's been in here. Usually if someone's been in here, you can see the cable ties, but on this side there's just a little clip, so you need to just come through here with a pair of pliers, open that clip up. And here there's a really weird kind of, do you know when you like, when you used to get bread and you used to put them the plastic things at the end instead of like tape, like at the end of the paper, and it's like rolled up and you got to like unravel it? It's literally that, but metal. So I'm just going to unravel that all the way off. I think it's working. So the boot is off, so now just got to pull it up over the tie rod because we need to expose the actual fitting. Ugh. And these things are bloody tight, okay? So yeah, so the driver's side just goes that little single spacer, so I need to crack this off. I'm probably going to need a big adjustable. The little washer goes in this side and the bigger thing goes in the other side. So let me go and see what size tools these are. Now from doing this job, I have never ever once been able to get on hand and crack it. Never once been able to just do it with my hands. So I always get something like this. I put it on and then I use a hammer and whack it. That's the only way I've ever got steering tie rods off, by using something like this and whacking the shit out of it with a hammer. They're usually so tight and you'll never get them off just by doing them by hand. In fact, the last one I did was a Civic Type R, and I had to take the whole steering rack off the car to get the tack rods off because they were so tight. So you see I've got the wrench on there. You've got to just be a bit lucky. I mean, it's perfect if the wrench is pointing down, and then you can get, you know, full force whacking it. But I'm going to try my best here and just keep whacking it on this, and it should crack it off. Okay, so I've got it, so that one wasn't really that bad, to be fair. I must admit, I've had way worse. Look at the tie rod here, check the thread, see if there's any dirt on them. If there is, clean the dirt off. So literally just push this on. So literally put that on like that. Okay, just put a dab of thread lock on there, and then pull the wheel, and then thread it back in. Okay, so that side's all done, it's all tightened up. Now if we come to this side, it was exactly the same two things, which is great, to be fair. The nice clit, the nice little loaf of bread things. But on this side, instead of putting the little washer, we have to take this off, screw this new one on, and then screw that big one into this one. So yeah, so you need to put the washer on the driver's side, the little washer on the driver's side, and this big unit on the passenger. I'm having a really hard time trying to get this side off. Really hard time. Fuck. But I think I've got it. I think that's why this job is like 10 times easier on a ramp, guys. You just get a big hammer, bang, off you go. So this side we're going to get our new thing. Yeah, we're going to screw that into the steering rack, tighten that against the steering rack, and then what we're going to do is we're going to tighten this into this new thing. Right, we are on, but we've got a problem. The problem is the tracking is not just out, it's in a different country. So that's like full lock to the left, right? Not bad, right? This wheel's straight. So what we're going to have to do is, I'm probably going to have to take the trap rod end off. I'm probably going to take the wheels off quick, get the trap rod end off, take both trap rod ends off, and center the rack. Now there's a way to do that. You've got to turn it all the way to the left, turn it all the way to the right, count how many turns, go halfway, and that's the center of your rack. And then from there, you want to put the wheels straight, and then kind of adjust the trap rods to come further in or further out. Now I hope that we're not in the same situation as the S13 where you do that, and then you need extended tie rods and extended track rods because the track isn't long enough. And also what's happening is the wheels are hitting the anti-roll bar. So with the two things, we get rid of that, or we got to get the spacers. And we have to cut these as well, otherwise you're not going to get locked to the right. We're going to have to cut these down, cut them in half. The steering rod that will hit against the knuckle here when we're on full lock, but that's not working right now because all it's doing is hitting in the damn anti-roll bar. So I think to do that we're gonna have to put some spacers on the wheels. It's not looking good, guys. I put a spacer on and even the old wheel and it's still hitting that anti-roll bar, which is just bullshit. But I've put it down to the fact that it's probably not centered, so it's not hitting the bump steel on the other side, meaning it's just oversteering to one side. So I thought we'll come in and we'll try and, you know, center the rack. I can't get the trap rod end off because the screw there, the split pin is just absolutely rotten inside the nut. So I thought, no worries, I'll just, you know, undo it here and just kind of try to unthread it, because I'm gonna have to get that nut off anyway. That nut for the trap rod end is absolutely too far. I could grind it off, but because it's not flat, I risk ruining the whole tie rod anyway. So I need it either way. Like, I need it aligned, and they won't be able to align it without getting that nut off. So I need to get that nut off. Okay, so this came off pretty nicely, to be fair, so I should be able to do the other side. Even still, I mean, this needs to be ground off, so I might just grind this off when we're there. So I'll just grind half of that off. That would hit that, okay? And then the only other way would be just to remove the front anti-roll bar. If you remove the front anti-roll bar, it makes the car better for sliding anyway, so I mean, you don't really need it. And that would just be a way to get around it quickly. But even still, it's not going to help because I need the car aligned, and I won't be able to align it because I can't get this trap rod off. Okay, these aren't getting off. These aren't coming off. These nuts. There's only one thing left to do, I suppose. So I'm going to try and grind the actual nut off, just make a slit in the nut, just to try to release some tension. At least then I can save the trap rod. But right now as it sits, the tie rod's gone and the trap rod's gone because it's all welded together. So I need to try and save it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come here, I'm going to put a slit down the side of it just like that and see if it releases some tension. It's probably going to go through the trap rod a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. The main thing is just getting there. So if I make a little slot in the trap rod here, it doesn't really matter, and the trap rod is cheaper than getting a whole tie rod. So if I can just make a slit there, I'm going to just aim for the nut and see if I can just crack the nut off, release some tension from it and kind of just crack the nut off and not go through the threads in the tie rod. So let's see what we can do, guys. Worst case scenario, we're gonna have to get a new tie rod and trap rod in anyway, so I may as well just use what I've got now and see if I can make it work, you know. So I've just grounded off a chunk of the nut, trying to not touch the threads. I think I have a little bit, but it should be okay. Now with that bit off, I've actually got this moving. I'm gonna have to replace that nut, but at least now I can move the trap rod and actually get the tracking right to see if it's hitting. So it is all savable. I'm just using this nut and going back all the threads because they're full of rust. So I'm just using this old shitty nut to clean up the threads, and it is doing a good job, and I'm pretty much where I need to be on this side. On that side, I think, because there's so much more to go, I think I'm gonna have to cut down the actual side of the trap rod. So because there's so much toe out I need to give on that side, I don't think it's gonna give it just with a thread on here. So I've done the same for this side now. I've just cut a bit of the, as you can see here, chopped a bit of the screw off, the nut, and then I'm just going to thread it all the way back and just clear up all that rust on the end of the threads. Right, so we're at the end of the thread here with the trap rod and the locking nut, and it's still a bit too far towed in. And even if we get it tracked, they're going to go as far as they can go. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the trap rod off, and we're going to have to just shave off a bit at the end of the trap rod with the grinder. Right, so it's better, but now the end of the tie rod is hitting right at the end of the trap rod before it's towed straight. So we're going to have to take some threads off the end of the tie rod. It's locking out there, and it's still not enough. It's still pulling it in a little bit, and it's still towing in. Right, there we go. We're pretty much towed straight, maybe a tiny bit of tow in, and we've still got quite a lot of thread left on the end, so we can actually get it aligned properly now, and they'll have no issues. We do need to change these nuts, but for the time being, you know, I can just change them at a later date. It doesn't really matter. I just need to make sure that now the rack's centered and we're towed straight, that it's not going too far and hitting that anti-roll bar. So let's get the wheels back on. So I don't think I got on camera how to center a rack. So what you got to do is, I mean, I'm going to test this now, so I want to make sure it's actually centered. So obviously it needs aligning, but it's kind of in the right position. So what you do is to come to center a rack, take the trap rods off, or the tie rods, whatever you want, just so the rack can spin freely. And then you want to stand in the middle now, so I'm going to go all the way to the right, steering lock. Okay, so you want to come all the way to the right. Okay, so you want to count how many turns. It should have been 3 because I did count before. So we've got 1, 2, 3 in a little bit. So what you want to do is from there, half it, 1.5, half, 1. That's the center of the rack. So now you want to put your wheels straight to that and do the tracking from that, which I've just did. It's just touching that anti-roll bar, and that's with the spacers. That side's definitely going to hit. Yeah, cool. Right, let's just try it with the stock front wheels, because these are wide, to be fair. These are 9J, 9.5J. So okay, so these are the stock wheels with a 20mm spacer. Okay, so that doesn't hit the anti-roll bar, but you know, just about take the anti-roll bar off. I think we're gonna have to take the anti-roll bar off. Mate, I've just dropped the breaker bar on my temple, mate. Oh well, it's Halloween tonight, at least I don't need to use that much fake blood then. I've already got a real one. Mate, these bolts are tight. Let's get a bit lighter now. Get to the ratchet. Oh, my arms. This has been I thought, the funny thing is, I did this today because I thought it'd be easy doing coilovers. 100%. This has took longer than doing coilovers would have. There we go. I have to do it to the S13, and I've got to do it to this. Okay guys, it's good news. We're not hitting anything with the small front wheel, and we're not hitting anything with the 9.5J with the 20mm spacer. We're not hitting anything, which is good. We are hitting without the 20mm spacer, so we're gonna have to put 20mm spacers on the front. You can see the thing hitting over there is the noise of the arm. I'll show you. It's gonna hit the back of this arm here. See? So we need the spacer on that. We've got another spacer there, but one of the stud threads are ruined from the S13 bolts, which is cool. To be fair, I'm probably just gonna put the ones on the back on the front, because this is more important than having good fitment, because we're going to be changing wheels on the track day anyway, as long as we've got the front so good. But let's test the steering. So you can see inside the car, all the way to the left's fine. We go all the way to the right. We've got so much lock. Knock, 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 knock. It's that front arm. But let me just put all the way to the left. I'll show you how much lock we've got. This is the amount of lock that we've got. Very happy with that. I'm going to put it on the floor. I can't get a side-by-side picture because this side needs the spacers. I'm so behind schedule. I should have set off to Manchester like 2 hours ago. So next episode, for reference, what I'll do is, well, you've just seen how much lock you've got there. I'll take a picture quick and you'll see how much extra lock we've got. But for now guys, I've got to get this on the floor and I've got to get ready, get my bag, and I've got to drive to Manchester. So I love you all. It's been a tough day, mate. It's been a tough day. But yeah, finally we got it done. Just needs 20mm spacers, 20mm. So yeah, can't wait to get inside, clean my head up, clean my soul up, clean my dignity up, get to Manchester. So I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.